I have to tell you, this whole thing is going to come down like a house of cards here soon. I sense the government is it's spiraling out of control, and you increase media, just the interest in the media saying, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, by 5%. You get the rest of the clowns in the media to carry some water besides this network, and this thing's going to fall apart like that. There's too many things going on just right underneath the surface that aren't right. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi claims that while President Bush was in office, Congress was never told about the enhanced interrogation techniques that the Obama administration just banned. Problem is, Washington Post said that she and lawmakers from both parties took a virtual tour of the CIA underseas or overseas detention sites, and they were briefed on harsh techniques, including waterboarding. Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, is with us. Jay, I've been waiting to ask this question for a long time. What did she know, and when did she know it?
Well, we know one thing. In 2002, they were briefed. We also know that in that briefing, she was told that the Office of Legal Counsel for both the Department of Justice and for the military had come to the conclusion that waterboarding was, in fact, not deemed to be torture in violation of the Geneva Convention. So if she knew that the lawyers had already said that this technique, this enhanced interrogation technique, was legal, well, of course they had to explain what it was. No one at that meeting expressed any concern or outrage. And now, 6 years later, they're doing this retrospective.
No, you're wrong. They did. Some of them said, are you sure it's enough? Are you sure
yes,
you're
that was
going
the outrage.
Far
That's
enough?
right.
Yes,
that's right.
That's exactly right.
Yes, there were two of them. Two of them actually said that. That is this enough to get the information? This is coming right on the heels of September 11th, so it makes sense.
Now, America, I'm going to propose and Jay, I selected you as a guest today for a reason, because I'm going to ask you why we're not doing this. First, I want to show you what Nancy Pelosi said yesterday. Play shot one, please.
We were not, I repeat, not told that waterboarding or any of these other enhanced interrogation methods were used. What they did tell us is that they had some legislative counsel, the Office of Legislative Counsel, opinions that they could be used, but not that they would. My experience was they did not tell us they were using that flat out. And any contention to the contrary is simply not true.
I did not have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky, not one time. Yeah. Let me tell you something. It's so clear that she's the definition of is. That's what she's doing here.
Well, it's worse than that.
Why?
It's worse than that, actually, because we know that she was at those briefings. We know that those briefings were secret briefings as far as they were confidential. And we know that the Office of Legal Counsel, that's what she was referring to, with inside the Department of Justice, came to the conclusion that waterboarding as a technique did not violate the Geneva Conventions. So then to say, it's disingenuous to say, well, we know all of that, but I didn't know they were going to actually do it. Why did they brief her on the legality of a method? And then to understand, I know you do, Glenn, and I appreciate that you're covering it like this. The fact of the matter is, from a legal analysis, when the Office of Legal Counsel makes a position for the Department of Justice, they're speaking on behalf of the United States government, certainly the president and the executive branch, they were briefed fully on this issue. This is on the heels of September 11th, and now you've got this post hoc justification of we're going to have all these truth commissions, which is absurd. These people were in the meetings. They know what was said.
Look, they know. They must distract people. They must keep George Bush alive and all of these things. Otherwise, their house of cards is going to fall down. Listen to the last piece from Nancy Pelosi. Here's the last piece from the talk yesterday.
They don't come in to consult. They come in to notify. They come in to notify. And you can't change what they're doing unless you can act as a committee or as a class. You can't change what they're doing.
Okay. Of course she could.
First of all, does anybody believe for a moment that Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, if she was objecting, or then she was a member of Congress and a vocal member of Congress, that if she was really objecting to a procedure, an interrogation procedure or technique, that she would not have raised her voice of concern? You know what she doesn't say in that meeting? She does not say in that meeting, when they said waterboarding's legal, she didn't come out and say, oh, I can't believe you're doing that, or that's wrong, or we shouldn't do that, it violates the Geneva Convention. And the irony of ironies of all of this is, we're complaining about, or there are some that are complaining about waterboarding as if Al-Qaeda and their allies ties are playing by the Geneva Convention.
Okay.
They certainly didn't with Danny Pearl.
Jay, I know. I don't want to even go down there. That's where the rest of the media is going. That is the game they want you to play. I'm not going to play that. I'm playing a different game. Okay. We're back with the Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow. Now, Jay, we're talking about Nancy Pelosi coming out and saying, hey, they didn't tell me about waterboarding. They told me, but they didn't tell me they were going to do it. They only told me they could do it. She had all kinds of nonsensical pieces of information there that just it doesn't make any sense at all. So here's where I want to go. Because I really, truly believe within my heart, this is not a let's go get Nancy Pelosi, because I think they're all corrupt, or a good portion of them are corrupt. So here's what I would like to do. I think that this is vital information for the American people, because we have to know, who do we trust? We either have a CIA and a bunch of spooks running around in Washington that you cannot trust and are taking and throwing politicians under a bus for their own political sake, or worse, to cover their butts on something really spooky that they're doing, or Nancy Pelosi is covering her butt politically. But there's an easy way to answer this. The minutes exist. I think the American people should demand those, and you watch, they are going to mysteriously. I want an ankle bracelet on what's his name? Sandy Berger. I want an ankle bracelet on Sandy Berger. I want to know if he's around any documents at all. Those things are going to be, they're going to end up missing. You watch. Why can't we demand?
They exist. We know that.
What?
You can demand. You should demand, because the reality is, and you're right on this, Glenn, they're releasing, first of all, they're releasing top secret information that our enemies now have access to. So if we're going to release information, what the former Vice President Dick Cheney said the other day, start releasing information. Let's find out what was said in that meeting. If they want to redact a top secret device or something,
I'm totally fine with that.
But let's know let's know what they said.
Yep.
But you know what? They will not do it. But we need to enforce it.
Okay.
And who knows? You get enough of a groundswell,
so here you are.
Maybe you can do it.
Here. This is what your organization does. I mean, what, do we have to have Fox? I know Fox already has a Freedom of Information request out on something else. Who's going to ask for this to be released? And not in 5 years, right now. It is national security. The American people need to know, is the CIA out of control, or is Nancy Pelosi? Only one can be the right answer. And it is vital that we know who we can trust and who's lying to us.
Our Government Affairs Office in Washington, D.C. could absolutely file a Freedom of Information Act request. And we will do it. And I'll tell you something else. Knowing the lawyers that were working in the Bush administration, Glenn, as well as I do, these were some of the best and brightest. They are the best and brightest in the United States. These are great lawyers. And you know what this is doing, and the reason we need that memo? It is undercutting the ability of lawyers to advise their clients.
Oh, yeah. No, I know
that could include the President of the United States. And that is really dangerous.
Jay,
so, yes, let's get the information.
I don't want memos. I want the minutes. I want her words. I want the words of the people that were in there. And you're exactly right. I don't need any kind of secret stuff that hadn't been out. I want them talking about waterboarding, and I want her reaction. If you are being honest, Nancy Pelosi, you would have said, wait. What is that? What are you talking about? There would have been some response, and I'll bet you it was exactly the opposite. Jay, thank you. We'll stay in touch. Will you let us know when you file?